We're live. Oh, see, they were ready. Welcome, everyone. Say hello in the chat. Happy Thursday. Sorry, folks, I can't type and speak at the same time. I'm one of those folks who can't walk and text at the same time either. Hope everyone's doing well. Let us know where you're coming from today. Hopefully everyone's, hello, sunny California there. Hello, oh, I see Ohio, upstate New York, Maine, New Jersey, BC, Minnesota. Thanks for joining, everyone. Just as a tip as well, folks, if you are in the chat, I recommend changing your settings to all panelists, all attendees, because this way everyone can see all the fantastic questions that do come out. And, you know, for all you know, someone else has the same question you do, or they think your question's fantastic. So let us know. Hello, everyone. I see everyone rolling in. Hello, Texas. Proud, I see there. That's fantastic. I love it. It is beautiful, sunny, little chilly, little nippy. It was absolutely gorgeous here yesterday in Toronto. So sunny. This morning I was sitting here and I love the sun. We get a lot of sun where the way our place is set up, and it was very bright in here. It was very hard to focus on the screen, I'll tell you that much, but it was fantastic to work in it, and I definitely won't turn it down. So Guam, I see Guam's here. Portland, hello. Winnipeg, how are folks doing? Hope everyone's well. Georgia, absolutely awesome. Hello, Ontario. You know, things seem pretty on par for however. Hello, Six Nations. Welcome back for everything that's happening over the last couple of weeks or so. It's been a little wild and I think we're kind of just buffering out a little bit. It's been great. I'm very excited for our webinar today. Folks, lots of you signed up. I'm so excited to see all of you here. Washington, hello. Great to be here. It's great to have you guys. Hello, Puerto Rico. Yes, we are recording this session as always. You've got it. As always, session is recorded. Everything will get sent out to you tomorrow with the show notes, the slides, the recording, obviously, your certificate, everything. If you don't get a chance to get the certificate today, not to fret. It will all be in there for you tomorrow. So no worries. Hello, PA, New Jersey. Hello, hello. So excited to see everyone. Brooklyn, you're back. I see you there. Sioux Falls. Amazing. Hello, Ohio. I'm excited. Folks, I hope we have some great questions prepared for Jill today. I want to see them. Hello, Alaska. Ooh. I'm super excited to announce we are going to be doing some reruns this March. I'm very excited to be sharing that with you guys today. We're going to be doing some reruns. Kaya just posted in the chat there for you. We're going to be running Tuesday evenings from 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. So obviously, depending on where you are, your time change will be there. But yep, you'll get the slides after. Not to worry, it will all be included in our show notes. So not to worry. But yeah, very excited to be running our reruns from 7 to 8. We're going to be revisiting a couple of goodies, I should say, starting on Tuesday. So if you want to come, the chat will be live. Obviously, the rest of it will just be part of our rerun session that we're going to be running. But the chat will be live, and I'll be happy to see anyone if you want to join us for the fun of it. Not to don't miss out. It will be great conversation. I'm sure maybe some great ideas as well. So a couple more minutes here, and then we're gonna get started. Hello, Tampa. And I see Wisconsin. I was watching Tampa last night, watching the Raps play and lose. Sad. It was a sad night. It's okay though. Have my afternoon tea. Folks, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, please do. Maybe Kaya, you can pop that in the chat as well. Yes, Kaya's already mentioned closed captions. She's on the ball today, folks. If you'd like to turn those on, the little CC button there for yourself. And if you have not joined our Facebook group, we have a fantastic group, fantastic community. Love for you to join us. Just remember that those questions are there. You need to answer them to be accepted into the group. It's there to keep the community safe, folks. So we have these questions set up just for you. It's just 2 or 3. Make sure you answer them, and then you'll be let into the group. Hello, New Jersey. Very excited. Minute or 2 longer here, and we're going to get started. Ashley, it's called Hi Mama Circle Time. Yeah. If you'd like to join us, if you're not a part of it already, please do. Kaya will help you out with that. So, whoa, Ashley, you're missing out. Good fun. There's a lot of great support actually in that community. So, hello, New Mexico. Oh, Ashley, you guys got Hi Mama last month. Woohoo! Hello, all the Hi Mama family members. Very exciting. I'm so excited to have everyone here. Hello, Mildred. Welcome back. All right. 1 or 2 more minutes. I know all of a sudden I saw a pretty big spike in people coming on. So I'm going to give you guys a minute or 2 more to just settle on in. Trying to make sure to give you guys as much time to do so, but also give our special guest all the time she needs today. So hello, Nova Scotia. I haven't seen you guys in a while. Welcome back. Very excited. Wendy from Thunder Bay. Hi. Oh, this is amazing. Welcome, welcome. Folks, if you've never heard of Hi Mama, and Kyle, I'll get you to pop in a link here in the chat if you've never heard of Hi Mama before. And like Ashley said, she's become a customer with us and you're looking for, something to help out your center. We're an app. We're going to go into a little more detail after, but to help you out with your center of documentation. If you're a director and you're looking for something to help you on the admin side of things, we have a pretty large list of features that would take me 6 years to go through. So I'm just joking. Well, it take me 6 years, but it will take me a while. But we're going to cover it a little bit later as well. If you're looking, though, I'd love for you to check us out. We also have, we use a whole process for you to go through where we pair you up with somebody fantastic here on the team, and they get the best package for you, best starting everything. So Hi Mama's awesome. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Blowing in. Stacey, you're blowing in. Super excited. Welcome back. I know, right? The wind has been wild. 1 more minute, folks, and then we're going to get started. Fantastic to see the amount of people who are here. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Hello, Cassandra. I love when you guys talk to me in the chat. This is the best part. The community you guys bring. Brenda, you guys are new to Hi Mama and your families are loving it. I'm so happy to hear. So happy to hear. All right, folks. Let's get into the thick of it and get excited. Super excited for today. As always, though, make sure this happens. Okay, folks, if you're ever looking for any legal or financial advice, or you're looking for any medical advice even, please make sure that you guys are consulting the right people. I am not that consultant. I'm definitely not your financial advisor. This is the last person you want to seek for financial help. I'm joking around with you guys. But anyways, please make sure that you're following up on, if you're looking for any sort of advice, whether that's licensing advice or anything like that, you're talking to the right people. Okay, so whether that be your rep, your financial advisor, your legal advisor, your medical support of whatever team you're looking for, make sure just reach out to the right people. Okay. Kaya, I'm going to let you take it from here for a moment. This is yours, my dear.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge the land that we are currently presenting on. So Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters are situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. And as participants and guests in today's webinar, we're coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate from. And also, we do want to state our diversity and inclusion here at Hi Mama before we begin our webinar. Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, our customers, and you, our community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special. Thank you.
Thanks, Kaya. You got a couple of love in the chat, a couple of bits of love in the chat there. So folks, as always, our housekeeping, the session is recorded. So if you do need to duck out early, I'm sorry to see you go early. Hope you don't miss out, but we are recording absolutely everything for you, and it will be provided in the show notes tomorrow. As well, in the show notes, you'll be able to get your slides, and you're going to get your certificate as well. So if you're not able to get it today, I know we've had this in the past where some folks haven't been able to access the link in the chat. Not to fret, it will be in the show notes email tomorrow. As well, if you're looking for some closed captions, please turn those on. There's the CC tab there on your side that you should be able to turn them on and have that with you. And it's also going to be part of the recording as well. Working here to make sure that we have the best for all those, no matter what your range of abilities. So last but not least, if you're having trouble with your connection, I am not the Zoom expert. I wish I was, I try to be, but I am not the Zoom expert. So if you're having trouble with anything connection wise or the portal itself, please do seek support at .zoom.us. They're your best people. They know their product the best. So make sure to chime in with them. So hi, welcome. If you've never been with us before, I'm Ria. I am an early childhood education specialist here at Hi Mama. I'm also the community ambassador. And if you're joining us for the first time, the 50th time, well, we're not quite there to the 50 mark yet, but if you are, I've been with Hi Mama for just about 3 years now, worked about 6.5 years in the classroom. And I have my colleague Kaya with me. Kaya's on chat, but I'll let her come on in here. She's with us all the time, supporting us. My support 100% in the background. Kaya.
Hey everyone, it's Kaya here. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really excited about this session. I've had the pleasure of connecting with our guest Jill several times. She's phenomenal. So you guys are in for a really special treat. You're going to be learning a lot. So I'm super excited about this. I'm also going to pop in the chat her podcast episode that just went live a couple weeks ago. So if you want to learn more about self-regulation, I highly recommend checking out this podcast, maybe on a walk. That's my jam, is podcast and walk. It's a great way to spend about 30, 45 minutes out in the sun and learning something new.
I can't disagree, Kaya. First of all, the podcast was fantastic. Jill and Ron together were an amazing team. So I highly recommend a listen. And I highly recommend Kaya's recommendation as well, because it's fantastic to be able to get outside, especially these days up here where, it's been snowing. So speaking of our special guest, we have Jill coming on here. I'm going to bring her on. She is coming from just north of the city, Vaughan, up that area. Jill, welcome to Hi Mama Helps. Maybe before we jump into like all of our fun stuff, maybe give us a couple of fun facts about you and a little bit about yourself and your background.
Hi, yeah, well, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited. I love all the work that Hi Mama is doing in the communities, but then also in the daycare centers. My daughter's daycare uses the Hi Mama app, and I love getting the daily updates and the pictures, and it's so great. So I am Jill. I have a background and a PhD in human kinetics. I have also become a certified health coach and a personal training specialist, and I love working with parents and educators in the topic of self-regulation, but also in all around health, because it really isn't just one key area. It's really looking at the full scope. So really excited to be here.
It's so true. Jill, I'm going to stop this share up for you and give all control over to you. So go right ahead and take it. I'm going to give it to Jill, folks. I'll be on the chat as well with Kaya. So as questions do come in, and then I'll rejoin you here at the end, Jill. So take her away.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to be talking about some of the key takeaways from today's presentation. So really, when we talk about self-regulation, one of the things that we want to discuss is that it's not too late to ever start practicing self-regulation techniques, whether it's in yourself or in your families. It's really about learning the certain strategies and techniques that start with, reframing the behavior, like what are we seeing and why is it happening? And then finding the technique that's going to work for you, because there really is no one size fits all approach. So self-regulation in parents and in educators and in children. So I always like to start by saying, self-regu what? I mean, I'm sure some of us have heard about self-regulation, especially nowadays. I think we're talking a lot more about mental health and wellness and well-being. But what really is self-regulation? So I want to start off by defining self-regulation as the body's response to stress. So, the body, whatever system we're looking at, whether it's your digestive system, your thermoregulatory system, your emotional system, it's really trying to find a balance, or always trying to be in homeostasis. So whatever system it is, it's trying to hover around a certain set point. So I like to use the thermometer example because it's usually something that everybody can understand. So if you think about the thermostat in your house, so let's say you set your house the thermostat for 71 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 22 degrees Celsius. Now, if the temperature starts to drop below that set point, then a signal is going to get sent to your furnace, and the heat's going to come on to bring it back to that ideal temperature. Alternatively, if the temperature increases too high, then that will elicit the air conditioner to come on again to bring that temperature back down. So there's both up regulation and down regulation, with the ideal goal is sort of maintaining that balance. So in ourselves and in our emotional state, in our physical state, our bodies really like to be in a state of balance or homeostasis. And one thing that I like to sort of clear up right from the beginning is the difference between self-regulation and self-control. So a lot of people, if they're trying to adopt either a healthier lifestyle, or give up a certain habit, or give up a certain trait. When I work with parents, a lot of parents come to me and, say, I just can't stop like yelling at my children. I get so triggered, and that is just what comes out, and they may think, oh, you need to have more self-control in order to change that behavior. That might be true, but self-control is really just about, like managing that particular situation, where self-regulation and practices in self-regulation is about understanding why that unwanted response is occurring. So I just wanted to sort of make that clear. Again, if you have any questions about that, pop them in the chat and we'll clear them up at the end. Now, when we are at any point in life, we are constantly experiencing different situations that we either respond to or react to. And every time we are presented with a certain situation, if it's something that isn't ideal, then we, learn different coping strategies. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these coping strategies can be maladaptive in nature. So we just want to sort of have a quick fix, or like get back to feeling back to normal. And so we grab whatever we can or do whatever we can really quickly to kind of bring ourselves back to that normal state. But over time, if we continue with these maladaptive coping strategies, then that can really lead to, negative responses later in life, and it could be affecting your relationships. It could be affect how you respond or react to coworkers in your career. So some of these common maladaptive coping strategies would be, binging on a bunch of chocolate after a stressful day at work, or just being in denial that there is even a problem or something going on, or having a lot of self-blame and self-doubt, and really internalizing it and thinking that it's something that you're doing wrong, or even isolating yourself and not actually addressing the root cause of sort of the outburst that you might be having. So it's really important to, both in parents and in educators, to really practice effective and helpful self-regulation techniques that not only will increase our self-awareness, but will really help elicit a growth mindset and be able to then overcome similar stresses in a much more positive way going forward. And like I said, right from the beginning, and I'll keep saying it, it's not too late to start practicing positive self-regulation techniques. Now, when we talk about self-regulation, the main thing that really needs to be discussed is stress. So what is stress? Stress is really anything that causes the body to react to a change and requires an adjustment. So think about, something goes on in your day. Maybe you have a deadline. You basically have two choices. You can either react or you can respond. And this is where I love this picture of the brain. And we talk about the blue brain and the red brain. So I won't get too technical here, but the red brain is the limbic system. It's sort of the part that sits in the back of your brain. And the blue brain is the neocortex. So that is sort of in the front and what covers the top of the brain. Now, the red brain is really responsible for all of our emotional responses. So if something happens and it triggers an emotional response in us right away, then that's our limbic system firing up. And if we use our limbic system to sort of react to the situation, that's when we normally will start yelling at our children, get into an argument, tuck away in a corner and eat a bunch of chocolate, turn to alcohol or other substances, or any of those maladaptive coping strategies. What we need to do, and every time we practice positive self-regulation techniques, which we are absolutely going to discuss a little later on, then we are able to use our blue brain. And our blue brain is really our logical part of the brain. So if something stressful or devastating happens in your life, if you have strong connections between, of course, it's always going to, the message is always going to hit that limbic system. But if you have strong, powerful connections between the limbic system and the neocortex, that blue brain, that logical thinking, then you are going to be able to respond to the situation in a much more positive, appropriate way that is going to allow for growth and recovery from that situation rather than any sort of maladaptive strategies. Now, when we're talking about the red brain and blue brain, something that is really important for both parents and educators to understand is that in children, they are born with really only the red brain, that limbic system, that emotional part of their brain is the one that is formed and that will respond to a lot of the signals that are coming in. So that is why, we see toddlers, having tantrums, the terrible twos, the, troublesome threes. We have all these words for it. But before a child is like 4 years old, they don't have those connections yet between the red brain and the blue brain. So even though something really, really small might be happening and a parent or an educator might say, like, control yourself, and the child's just freaking out for no reason, or what you may think is no reason, it's because they can't physically, logically come up with a strategy or a coping mechanism that is going to bring that back down to that homeostasis point. All they know is how to respond in that sort of emotional way. And, a lot of times when children, if they don't know how to respond to what they're feeling, they act out, they have misbehavior, they may throw things, they may tantrum, scream, cry. And, as parents and as educators, having those connections and having our logical brain well formed, we may think that they're just sort of overreacting, but that's not the case at all.
Jill, just want to interrupt you quickly for a sec.
Yes.
First of all, fantastic information. We're having a bit of scratchy sound. I know we had talked about this before. We're just going to get you to switch up your headset. No,
Okay,
sorry
I'll
about that.
Put my hair behind my ears, and then hopefully that takes it away. Just let me know if there's any problems going forward.
It sounds great. Thanks so much. I'll let you continue. It's
All right.
absolutely fantastic. Lots of great things in the chat. So
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So now this is going to be very important information for both parents and educators, but I'm going to kind of talk about it in terms of what could be going on in our children, because although self-regulation, we absolutely need to practice it in ourselves, it's really important, because I think in the previous slide, one thing that I forgot to mention is that in order for our children to really form those strong connections between the red brain, the emotional brain, and the blue brain, is they need to be co-regulated by a parent or a caregiver or an educator. And the more that, they see adaptive coping strategies and are helped with positive calming strategies, then the more connections will be formed between the red brain and the blue brain. So in order to develop those strong connections, we first need to recognize all of the stressors that could be happening that is eliciting sort of that misbehavior or that stress response in the child. Now, let's just use an example. Your child comes home from school, and sure, they might be a little bit tired, but they're hungry and they want a chocolate bar. Well, you as a parent say, no, we're going to have dinner soon. You can't have a chocolate bar, but yes, you can have some crackers and cheese and an apple slice. Well, that might just throw the child into a complete tantrum, and demanding that chocolate bar. And a lot of times for parents, that's a stressful situation too. So they may respond, the parent may respond back with yelling and telling them, no, they can't have a chocolate bar, and may actually just send them to the room without any food at all, because the parent can't sort of regulate themselves in that sort of situation. So the first thing you need to do is always sort of reframe the behavior and think of yourself as a stress detective. What is going on that is eliciting that response in the child? So there are 5 major domains of stress where, or areas where lots of different stressors could come from. And I'm going to guess a lot of them you may have never even really considered as stressful before. So these 5 domains that I'm going to talk about, I do want to mention, they've come from the Schenker self-reg method from the Merit Center. So it's a great institute doing lots of great work in the area of self-regulation. So the first domain is the biological domain. So this might be one of the more common things that we may think of. So, that example with the child coming home. Okay, so one of the stressors that might be going on with them is sleep. After a day of school or daycare, they might be very sleepy. So that's one area that, could be sort of adding to their stress. But another, other things in the biological domain, it could be screen time. There could be, some sense that the child is very sensitive to. So if you have a child in your classroom that always sort of, kind of acts up at a particular time, maybe it's when you bring out the Play-Doh, or maybe it's when you bring out the bubbles or something, it's possible that that scent of either the Play-Doh or the bubbles might actually be throwing the child off, and they might be responding to the stress of that scent. Loud noises is a very common stressor in children, or allergies, or even food sensitivities. So not nearly as severe as allergies, but a lot of time if a child has a food sensitivity, it may not be known, but yet every time that child has a food, it's like little inflammatory responses are going off, and then over time that can really add to the different stress. So if the child is really upset that they can't have the chocolate bar. Well, that's obviously one major stress, but what we really need to remember and recognize is that there's so many other stressors that are adding to that big meltdown. It's not just because of the chocolate bar. So the second area is the emotional domain. So this again, some things that could be common stressors in children are fear, changes in routine. They might have homework deadlines. Their parents might be going through a divorce. They might be dealing with some depression, or maybe even a sick parent or grandparent or someone close to them. Even sometimes intense surprises. So if even a surprise party or something that a child wasn't expecting, and everybody might think it's so fun and the child's going to love it, but that could be really, really stressful, especially if a child is a little bit shy or a little uneasy to begin with. The third domain is the cognitive domain. So again, not all stress is bad, right? There is both good stress and bad stress. So obviously education and learning new things is a stress in the cognitive domain, but as long as the other stressors going on are reduced, then the child can usually cope with the educational stressors, and then continue to learn and grow and adapt. But possibly they're on top of that, they're also trying to learn a new language, or there's two different languages spoken in home, or trying to remember certain information, and they might be confused about some things. Perhaps, there's lots of things that they need to multitask, and that's really kind of adding to their stress. Or, I know in the classroom, a lot of times teachers will just call out on a certain student, so being put on the spot, so they may know the answer, but in that moment, their limbic system, that emotional brain, is just fired up, and then they, go into sort of that fight or flight response, and they just flight and can't even answer the question, even though they know usually what it is. The social domain, is very common, especially in the school setting. If, again, going back to sort of public speaking, or if there's a lot of crowds around, sometimes even like the first day of school, especially if you're starting a new school, you want to make a good first impression. That could be incredibly stressful to students. Or, if they do meet a new group of people and they feel sort of left out, or they don't really have anyone to play with, or, they don't feel like they can relate to them or have things to talk about. I know this one is really true for my daughter. She's a very slow eater. But, she's in kindergarten, and when that bell goes off, she needs to go out for a recess. So lots of times she doesn't even get to finish her food, and it's just something that, and it adds to her stress. So if there's other stressful things going on top of that, then, eating slowly in a fast-paced environment can definitely be stressful for children. And anybody, not just children, adults, but I'm sort of addressing the children here. And then the pro-social domain. So this is really sort of that internal thoughts and feelings that we all sort of have. So our level of empathy, or dealing with other people's strong emotions, especially if they sort of battle our own internal emotions or dialogue. Sometimes gift giving can be a big stress. So you'll always want to give that perfect gift. You want the person to like it. Or maybe having difficulty reading people's cues. So whether that's the educator trying to read the child's cues, or the other way around, the child not understanding sort of what the educator is expecting from them. So I know I went through a lot there, but I really wanted to sort of make the point clear that there are so many areas where stress occurs. It's really not just, usually if a child has a tantrum, or even if a parent or an educator gets super frustrated at the child and can't respond without sort of yelling or getting angry, it's never just because of the one stress. Usually that one stressor is, right in your face. You can define it, you know what it is, but chances are there's so many other things going on that they just built up. And then when they were presented with that one last stress, that's when the explosion sort of happened. So in order to, really help practice self-regulation in our day-to-day life, the first step, it really is to reframe that behavior. So whether it's your own behavior or the child's behavior, if you're asking them, let's say turn off the iPad, it's time to eat dinner, and they get angry and they yell at you and they don't want to turn off the iPad, a parent or an educator may see that as, misbehavior, or the child is deliberately doing something that they know they shouldn't be doing. But if you can make the switch in yourself to reframe the behavior from misbehavior to stress behavior, then you will be in a much better position to take a step back yourself and say, okay, so what is going on in this situation right now? What are all the possible stressors that are going on that are, creating that response in the child? So the thing with, turning off the iPad, well, obviously screen time in itself is a stressor. The change in the routine, right? The child isn't done the show. So, of course they're going to get angry if you need to turn it off, halfway through. So you really want to look at, just like we talked about all the different stressors in the 5 domains, you really want to look at reducing the stress in all the 5 domains. So even though the big stressor might be, okay, you have to stop and come eat dinner, I'm not saying, oh, tell your child, oh, it's okay, you don't have to come eat dinner, you can continue watching the iPad. No, that's one stress that they do need to deal with, but maybe there's other stressors going on. So maybe 10 minutes before dinner is ready, let them know, okay, in 10 minutes, you're going to be turning off the iPad. So get ready to, wind down whatever show, and then give them another, cue at 5 minutes. So it's really, and this goes with sort of any time you are transitioning from one thing to the other, it's really, having clear expectations from the child onto what they're going to do. I know definitely in my household about a year ago, getting out the door, actually more than a year ago, because it was pre-pandemic, getting out the door in the morning was an incredibly stressful time for everybody. My children were quite young, and I did let them watch a show before as they were eating their breakfast, but then going from the show to the shoes on to the jackets to the backpacks packed, it was just chaos. But then once we started to establish a clear routine, get your children, especially in the classroom, get them involved in sort of creating that routine or that transition from one activity to the next. Let them help you create, the visual charts that you're going to display in the classroom, so that it's clearly stated what is expected of them and how the flow of the day is going to go. And so that's a great tip for, trying to reduce the stress in both the biological domain and the emotional domain. Another thing that you want to look at, especially in your classroom, is just, clearing out any of the clutter or any of the really loud visual things that can be distracting. Or if you do have, use a bit of like a timer or something to transition between one activity to the next, maybe make it like a soft like jingle or something, rather than like flicking the lights on or off, or, blowing a whistle, because that could be really distracting to some children. Chances are the majority of the children in the classroom will be completely fine with it. But if you notice that there's a couple that are sort of having trouble transitioning from those or responding and regulating during those transitions, then it's really important to kind of see what is going on before and how you can kind of reduce any of those stressors. So another thing is that it really isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, and you can't please everybody, especially if you are an educator and thinking about how you're going to reframe this and use it in the classroom. But that's where it's really great to have different areas in the classroom. So, and different seating places. So if you're doing circle time and everybody's expected to sit on the carpet, well, maybe have, you know, in the circle have some different sizes or shapes of cushions so that the children can actually test them out and sort of see what textures they feel. Some people might like the hard floor better. Some might like a really soft cushion. Some might like one made of corduroy. Some might like one made of cotton or something, because textures like that can definitely be stressors also. And then there's definitely techniques such as breathing techniques. If you are, you know I use this a lot with my daughters, and both my daughters, so I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they both have their own techniques that work, and neither one of them like each other's techniques. So my 5-year-old has really taken to meditation, and she loves, and we do a guided meditation before sleep, and she asks for it now. And it's a really great tip and tool. It's a bit longer, so we'll do a 10 or 15-minute meditation, and that works for her because she's my kind of calmer child, where my younger one is so much more of a like outgoing, always running around. But when I need to get her to calm down, we do flower breathing, because it just takes about 10 seconds. And for about 3 breaths, she breathes in through her nose as if she's smelling a flower, and then breathes out through her mouth as if she wants to blow all of the petals away. So it's an easy way to sort of articulate to the child how to do the deep breathing, because if you just ask them to take a few deep breaths, they may not understand. But either breathe in to smell that flower, and either maybe even blow out the birthday candles, things like that. And then if they do that 3 or 5 times, they think they're sort of playing a game, but really that deep breathing is going to help bring them into a more relaxed state. And then the key to self-regulation really begins with self. So although I talked a lot about, the stressors in children and how we can reduce the different stress, you will not be able to calm down a child if you are not calm yourself. So it's really about practicing self-regulation techniques with yourself first, so that when you are presented with, either a tantrum or just a very busy time where you need to quickly go from one activity to the next, or from breakfast to getting out the door, then you as a parent or as an educator know how to manage that situation for yourself, so that you can then help your children. Because again, when they are still very young, they need to be co-regulated. They need to be helped with these positive self-regulation techniques, so that they will continually develop those connections between the red brain and the blue brain. Because the only way those connections are formed is with connections with caregivers and parents and educators. And really, self-regulation, it's not just a program. Like, I do work with parents a lot, and I may have an 8-week program that we work on, but it's really just the foundation to set them up to continue with it on throughout the rest of their life. So it really is a lifestyle. And as I said from the beginning, it's not too late. So this is never to elicit any parent guilt or any, educator guilt and say, oh no, I've been doing it wrong all along. No, maybe some of the techniques or strategies haven't been the most adaptive or growth sort of techniques, but now start now, right? Start adopting new techniques and new strategies. Another great thing is physical activity. So there has been a lot of proven research out linking the positive effects of physical activity and the changes in cognitive function. So not only will just regular physical activity help reduce your stress and then be able to self-regulate more readily, it'll also help with sleep. Sleep is a huge stressor in that biological domain. If you get out in the community, I know it's not so easy right now, but post-COVID, get out in the community and join a running group or the gym. It really helps building connections with other people around you and like-minded people. Again, that's going to help your own connections as well. Exercise really makes you become a lot more self-aware, and that is really the key to self-regulation too, right? You are that detective. You need to think about all those areas that are going on. You need to be aware of all the stressors. And then also, just being physically active is going to improve your overall health. So it's really going to reduce your risk of having any sort of health issues, which in itself is a huge stressor on your own body, but then obviously on your family's body too, if they need to deal with the sickness of you or someone you love. So I'm going to sort of wrap it up there. I know I talked a lot, so I'm really excited to open it up for questions and for the chat so that I can answer any of your questions, because this is a huge topic and I've tried not to repeat too much of what I did in the podcast and in the blog. So definitely go back and listen to that. And then we'll answer questions both in the chat now, and then you can always contact me after. Also, I love talking about this stuff.
Jill, this was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, as you were going through, I started thinking about some of the pieces that I've even used in the classroom, and some of the pieces that I've used as well with like my niece and my nephew. My nephew's 9 and my niece is 5, and she's definitely much more rambunctious than he is, but he definitely loved a lot of those breathing techniques, very similar to your older daughter there, loved a lot of the breathing techniques, as well as, he's just a little bit more mellow than she is, whereas she is like high energy, loves to be out and about, but the thing is she does like to be super physical. So doing those physical things with her tends to bring her level down, tends to actually make her happy and a little bit calmer. So that was awesome.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted,
yeah.
as you're saying that, sorry, I just wanted to like point in one thing too, because I know I didn't go into too much of the strategies because there's so many out there, but I definitely wanted to say, like, for some people, it's not all about sitting quietly and breathing. Some people actually need to down regulate by like getting their sillies out and jumping around and like and doing all that physical activity, and that's actually going to bring them down. Some people are really down and need to do physical activity to bring them back up, but that's where, as I said, it's not a one size fits all approach. So it's not all like, oh, we need to, everybody needs to sit down and meditate. No, some people may need to go like for a run to get their levels back down to baseline.
Exactly. And I know especially too right now with the situation, no matter where we are or what's happening with COVID, it's definitely put some dampers on being physical, as well as having being out and about. Some people, they love to be social and being out with your friends and having great conversations, things like that. That's part of your jam. It brings you down to like a regular level. I mean, not actually bring you down, but it's their thing. Or it's the other way. You're missing having being out and about and, hustle and bustle of the city maybe. And that's part of COVID's been a part of that. We've had some great questions. So one of the questions wanted to ask here is coming from Chloe. She wanted to know if you have any examples for self-regulation techniques for a parent or a teacher specifically.
Yes, absolutely. So like for the teacher themselves to help regulate. So one thing in that we can do as adults is really, so timeouts usually don't work in children, but they do actually work in adults. So if you are, and again, it depends, you need to always keep the safety of the children in mind. You can't just leave the classroom. But one thing that you really need to do is if you are just if that red brain is so flared up and you're able to recognize that, if you can even just, if it's even like closing, if you can't physically leave, if you can close your eyes for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or if you're a parent and you're at home and you can safely actually leave the room for a couple minutes, leave that situation, take a few of those breaths and calm down and really like ask yourself, because if you're that triggered, ask yourself, why do you just want to yell right now? Or like, what do you think yelling will do? Do you think it will make it better? Probably not. So what do you need to do instead? And the more that you do that, the more you will be able to sort of deal with those things like in the heat of the moment. But that's one of the questions that I get all the time. But what about in the heat of that moment? And I still get there all the time. And it really is just, honestly, if you can give yourself a little bit of a timeout when you're first practicing it, the timeouts may be a little bit longer, but the more you become aware of it, you can even usually just like turn your head for like 3 seconds, be like, okay, I know stress behavior. I know, I just remember calm begets calm. I know I need to be calm in order for my ability to help the child or the children calm down.
It's so true. I won't lie. I'm a huge advocate for myself for the timeout. And even something simple as that. I can be sitting in a meeting potentially, and I'm just, the rage might be building a little bit, and it's like, whoa, I just got to step back. I have to take in what they're saying. I have to digest it. It's almost like that. I refer to this as, for myself, as like the university method, where teachers used to give us, you had 24 hours before you could actually come back and talk about your exam results. Sometimes I do that for myself. I apply it now, even as an adult, so that I say, okay, I actually have to step back and take an objective look about this. Of course, in the heat of a moment of a potential temper tantrum, you maybe can't take that long,
Right.
but you have to apply the time, and it actually really helps, at least me as an adult. I can say, take some time for yourself. Okay, next question we've had is maybe what would be the beginning point for a parent or teacher who has not been self-regulating or doesn't understand the background information about this? I think particularly especially around the red and blue part of the brain. Where's a good place to maybe start?
Yeah. So the good place to start really is reframing the behavior. So I know I talk about it in the podcast a lot. So really there's sort of 5 steps of self-regulation. I call them steps, but they're actually circular. You don't have to go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. But the steps are reframing the behavior, recognizing the stressors, so becoming that stress detective and in all those domains, reduce the stress, so reduce the ones that you can, and then respond. So, respond, in hopefully a now adaptive and growing and recovering way. And then reflect. That's where you need to go back, and after you responded, reflect back. Did that work? And so although, they don't have to go in a step-by-step fashion, I would say if you're really new to this, the biggest sort of aha moment when I first, really dove into this subject was the reframe the behavior and realizing, wow, my kids aren't actually trying to make me mad. They aren't trying to push my buttons. There is something going on, or actually not something. There are many, many things and stressors going on that are just firing up their red brain so much that they do not know how to logically respond to this situation. As parents, we may feel like they're trying to, push our buttons or get on our nerves. But if you can reframe that behavior and step back and be like, okay, no, they're not trying to get me mad. They are stressed. And I'm, as a parent or as an educator, I'm going to try and help them reduce that stress and then help them respond in an adaptive way.
That's fantastic. I feel like I want to echo a couple of things have been said in the chat. It's the aha moments for younger parents and teachers. They do happen. And I feel like that's usually those moments when you step back and you go, oh.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to ask one more question from the chat, because we've had a lot of great questions. So folks, please join us. Jill's going to join us on our Facebook group after, and I'm going to get Kai to post a couple of the questions that we've had come through. But there's one particular question, and maybe whoever posed this question, correct me if I'm wrong about the interpretation of it. So it says that we have a new child who's is an English learner, so I assume maybe English is not their first language, and has sensory issues. He periodically starts shouting out loudly when he's which is unsettling to the children and of course the teachers, but he doesn't seem to show off anything of being upset. He seems to be seeking some more sensory. Do you have any tips around how we can coach him through this, Jill? This might be the hard question I said I might throw out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So I'm just wondering if they meant, so are they seeking more sensory, like they need to have more going on? And this is where,
Possibly.
in the classroom setting, it is difficult because, you can't just focus everything just on one child. But if this child, is having these outbursts and it's actually disrupting other children, then it might be good to take a little bit extra time with this child itself. This is when you really need to talk to the parents too, and get the parents involved and see, if there's things like what's going on in the morning before they come to school. Possibly, make the parents sort of aware that there's a bunch of different stressors. And again, not eliciting parent guilt. I always want to start with that. But just sort of ask them, what's the routine like? What are they eating? How much are they sleeping? Are they getting a good night's sleep before? And then see if there's other things going on in the home that the parents can be involved with. And then even in the classroom though too, you can definitely ask the parents if there's any things that sort of help to calm the students down. Like I actually had to do this with my daughter because in the fall she was having a lot of anxiety, like even though she was back in the classroom still with the whole pandemic and unknown, and they were talking about a lot in the classroom and people wearing masks. And so at home, we have a calming map for her. So I just took a picture of the calming map and I gave it to the teacher so that when, she's up complaining of a bellyache, can you sort of just show her the calming map? And she knows now sort of what to do with it. But it really had to sort of be that parent teacher involvement. But if there's anything obvious that that is in the classroom that is upsetting them, whether if they're having just pay attention, right? Be that detective. Are they having their outbursts mostly when it's a transition time? Or are they having the outbursts when it's completely quiet and everybody is working, on their own work? Having to sit still for a long time could be a huge stressor for children. Or is it the opposite? Are they having their outbursts when everybody's like having their dance party and dancing around? So it really is kind of thinking about all the different areas, make a list, write out all the different 5 domains and what could possibly be going on. Like I say, you can't eliminate everything, but maybe there's a few key things that you can reduce that will greatly help that child. And then, so those are sort of the external things, but internally you can definitely, try some of either the breathing techniques, or if you have a calming corner, I'm not sure what grade, but I know for the early childhood educators or the younger grades, they have calming corners and stuff in the classroom, and maybe the child can go there to sort of regroup.
There's so many great things and so many great questions coming out of today. Jill, I'm going to give you one more question before we start wrapping up. A couple of questions have come around helping children settle down for bedtime. I know you had mentioned your daughter, you do some meditation with her. Do you maybe have some other tips or techniques that people can use, whether that's maybe around nap time, and maybe some of the younger children as well that you'd love to share with us?
Absolutely. So bedtime or nap time for sure, and especially just in my older daughter. Luckily, my younger daughter has always been a great sleeper. You never know. But I have had to do a lot of work with this. So definitely keeping that routine, that bedtime routine. We all hear that, but finding out what it is for the child. So if they're having a hard time at bedtime and they want you to stay with them, are they afraid of something? This is where you can definitely do the meditation and it helps take their mind off. I'll just quickly describe the calming map because this is like, I just use this really just for bedtime, but it's basically, I have a big poster board. At the one end, I have, drew a little sad face or scared face. And at the other end, I drew a happy face. And I had my daughter involved, and you have to do this when they're in a calm. So make this like an art project when they're sort of already in a regulated state, and ask them, for 10 things that sort of make them happy or bring a smile to their face or that they like doing. And then, draw a winding road. And then you can go to magazines or print out things or stickers and have those images kind of going on that windy road, so that the times when they are distressed or at bedtime, they first start at that kind of scared face, but as they go through each thing, and you can even like put some scented lip gloss or something so they can smell that strawberry ice cream, and so it really elicits all the scents. They, bring their mind back to times when they were happy or have little stuffed animals that make them feel good. And then that will sort of, bring them back to that sort of positive mindset and remind them that, that it is like they then will be able to relax. And if it is bedtime, then sleep will come. And that's where guided meditation is really, really great, even in really young children, because it just sort of takes their mind away from those thoughts running around, especially these days with all the uncertainty of lockdowns and COVIDs and restrictions and masks. There's so much running around in children's minds right now. If they can practice a few techniques to sort of just relieve all those issues and just focus on getting rest, that is really going to help to sort of bring them back to a regulated state.
100% for both parents, educators, and for those children, of course. It's
everybody.
Key for everyone.
It is. And in children, their brain is very fluid. So like these things, the calming math, like it'll pick up really easily, because all these strategies also, they need to be strategies that the children, yes, you have to help them at the beginning, but they need to adopt them and be able to go to them on their own. You can't always be there saying, go to your calming map, right? So at the beginning, co-regulation, but the goal is to get them to then self-regulate.
100%. Jill, it's been phenomenal having you on. I know you're going to join us for some more Q&A here on our Facebook group. So please, folks, move on over there. But Jill, any last words of advice, happy thoughts, pieces of wisdom you want to leave the folks with today?
Yes, everybody, just honestly, one of the greatest things you can do is get outside in that nature. It really does just, have that calmingness to it. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're entering spring and sunshine, and I can't wait for it. So just, get outside.
Jill, thank you so much. We'll see you on Facebook. I know Kaya's been gathering on some questions here from the chat, so we'll pop on over there. But we're going to head into a wrap up now. Folks, if you've never heard about Hi Mama, I just got to do my 2-second spiel and then we'll be out of here. But if you've never heard about Hi Mama, please do check us out. We're a childcare app. I know we've had many people who've joined us on the webinars and been like, I have no idea what's going on. If you're looking for something for your son, or whether that's communication with mom and dad or whoever, parents at home, billing, check in, check out, especially right now, safety first. We want to make sure that everyone's in the right places too. Observations, lesson planning, if you're a teacher, there's so many great things. Please do check us out. I'll get Kaya to pop in a link in the chat. So if you want to check us out a little bit more, you can definitely head on over there. All right, certificate is in the chat here. Even I'm going to post it, guys. Certificate's in the chat. Once again, if you are unable to grab it here today, not to fret, I will be sending it out via email tomorrow. It'll be within your show notes. So will the slides, Jill's fantastic recording, all in the show notes so that you can get everything here today. So don't fret if you can't grab it right now, okay? Next up, next week, we're talking vaccine. This is obviously a really hot topic, folks. So we're going to talk a little bit more around what policies we might be potentially seeing coming out there, talking a little bit more about the knowledge around a vaccine, kind of how it works a little bit more detail. So we have some great folks coming on. I'm really excited to have this one. I think it's going to be a great conversation. I know lots of people are even on the fence about getting the vaccine. It's not really so much there. It's more around just giving you guys a lot more knowledge around it. So I'm super excited to do so. I'm excited. We're doing reruns, folks, next week starting. So in the evenings on Tuesdays in the month of March from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're not in our standard zone, please check it out. We're going to be starting with social skills and play and learning. That was a really fantastic webinar we had with Jan and Janet. The chat will be live though, folks. We're going to have the chat going. So this way, if you want to join us for a rerun, please do. If you maybe didn't have a chance to see it, we're going to be showing that off to you guys there on Tuesday. So please do register. Kaya, I know you're going to drop that one in the chat as well. And if you haven't, please follow us on Facebook, check us out on Instagram, as well as Jill. We're going to include all of that to connect up with you. Jill's podcast as well with Ron that she's mentioned and we've shared as well with you. Here, we'll send out the link. Oh, Kaya beat it. Here we go. One more time here. Kaya's got it in the chat there as well. Please join our Facebook group, Circle Time, and you'll see us there with Hi Mama. Maybe Kaya, did I miss anything? I always double check. I got to make sure I got everything in squeezed into the last minute. I know tons have been happening in the chat. You've been on fire today. So
it's been a busy session is all I can say. There have been so many amazing questions. I really wish we had like an extra 2 hours for Jill to answer all these questions.
I agree.
Yeah, so if we didn't get a chance to answer your question, please head over to the Facebook group. We'll post it in the chat again. Join it, and Jill's going to be on for like the next 5-10 minutes to be answering some of those questions. So if you have a hot question that you really want answered, Jill will be in that group. So you get a little bit more Jill for today. So very excited to see some of our friends over there.
Thanks, Kaya. Jill, thank you once again for joining us. This has been great information. The chat's just blowing up a little bit more. So I'm super excited that we have this. Please, folks, migrate over to Facebook. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay happy, and we'll see you either Tuesday at the rerun, or we'll see you next Thursday for our live session. So please don't forget to sign up. And thanks again for joining us, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Have a great weekend. Take care, everyone. Bye.